Now on Denver 7 News at 5, a black plume of smoke looms over Colorado homes. High winds are not helping this firefight.
Plus, no justice 1 year after this Colorado man was attacked after a case of road rage.
It was just sitting on the DA's desk as far as I know.
But after Contact Denver 7 stepped in, the wheels of justice are finally starting to turn.
I cannot thank you and your news team enough for featuring me on air and online.
And a comeback to victory. See the incredible third period performance that won DU Hockey National Championship. Good evening. We start off with breaking news. A fast-moving wildfire in Pueblo is threatening nearby homes and an animal shelter.
This video you're looking at here shows just how close it's getting to houses. Pueblo Fire is now tweeting that poor conditions are expected to get even worse. So here's what we know right now. This is happening just north of the Arkansas River near Highway 45. Staff at the Paws for Life animal shelter right off Highway 45, they are already evacuating animals to the state fairgrounds as a precaution. You can see they're doing it here in this video. And homes in this area are also under pre-evacuation orders. Now listen to this. Pueblo Fire is asking people not to add to the problems in this area by coming to this area to, quote, be a looky-loo.
Yeah, don't do that. And conditions are not favorable right now. High winds are not helping with this fire.
They're not, and it's been warm and dry too. Meteorologist Stacy Donaldson joins us. Stacy, right now that area is under a red flag warning.
It is. For 2 days we've had this red flag warning in effect for eastern Colorado, and it does include Pueblo as well as the metro area and the eastern plains. Now the winds are high all across the eastern half of our state, all the way up into northeastern Colorado. Right now we have 36-mile-an-hour winds in Pueblo, 43 for Denver, and 54 for Sterling. So the winds have really picked up here in the last 24 hours. Still high winds from the foothills here across the Front Range and into northeastern Colorado. Earlier we had 70-mile-an-hour gusts at Berthoud Pass, and we have more winds on the way with our next storm that's coming through. Not only snow for the high country, but wind advisories out west for Tuesday. High wind warnings extending for northeastern Colorado tonight, and then high wind watches for this entire area going into Tuesday. So we have a couple of things coming our way along with the high winds and a snowstorm. We'll talk more about all of that coming up.
All right, Stacey, we'll see you later in the show. Thanks. Contact Denver 7 is getting results. Last week, we told you about a Thornton man who says police haven't arrested the suspect involved in a violent road rage incident nearly a year ago.
As Denver 7's Russell Haythorne explains, after our story aired, police are giving new attention to this case.
He's just so smart.
Patrick Roskelley hasn't felt this hopeful in a long time.
I really do think that there is a lot of promise, given the fact that there's actually police on the streets looking for the guy.
It has certainly been a rough road to justice.
Definitely frustrated and wish there was like a higher level of accountability.
We first introduced you to Roskelley last week.
He kicks the door in, it flies open, hits my refrigerator.
As he described how a road rager followed him all the way home.
The gentleman got upset after a road rage incident and followed me home and kicked in my door and beat me up in my kitchen right here.
His case took months to investigate, then a break thanks to DNA evidence left at the scene. The attacker was identified as Aaron James Dunn, and the DA filed charges of second-degree burglary and assault in the third degree. An arrest warrant was issued in May 2021, but 11 months later, still no arrest.
It was just sitting on the DA's desk as far as I know.
And still no movement in the case until our reporting last week.
I cannot thank you and your news team enough for featuring me on air and online.
What we now know through our reporting is that most departments, like Thornton Police, work with the FBI's Rocky Mountain Safe Streets Task Force on fugitive apprehension. In this case, Roskelley says the Adams County DA likely failed to forward the case to the task force. On Friday, Roskelley says a Thornton police officer called him to apologize for this case slipping through the cracks. And we now know that multiple metro area agencies are actively searching for the suspect.
Basically, it just apologized for the systemic failure.
The case now has new traction, and Roskelley is hoping it helps other victims.
If you have an active case or something like that and you're feeling like you're not well represented, try and reach out to people, because there's more than just the victims advocates and like the detective working your case.
In Thornton,
I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, because before it felt like nobody would listen.
Russell Haythorne,
Denver 7.
Russell, thank you. Now, we want to go a little deeper on why it's been difficult for police to investigate some of the crimes reported to them. Now, if you remember back in February, Denver 7 Investigates learned that Aurora was pulling its officers off the state agency that investigates car theft rings.
Yeah, and it's definitely not because car thefts are down. The Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force, or CMAT, tells us car thefts here are up 113% in the last 2 years. And Colorado leads the nation in the number of cars stolen.
The former Aurora police chief said the decision to reduce officers from the car theft task force was made to prioritize patrol-related duties.
That's right. And when we asked the head of CMAT why Colorado ranks #1 for car thefts, he blamed the lack of consequences for thieves who were caught.
All right, we're just 6 months away from the midterm elections, and this weekend Colorado's GOP and Democratic parties held their state assembly meetings.
This is when they vote for and endorse their nominees for certain state-level positions. So let's start out with the GOP assembly and a big night for election deniers. Members wholeheartedly endorsed Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters as their nominee for Secretary of State. She received more than 60% of the vote. Her nomination comes despite Colorado's GOP leadership calling on her to suspend her campaign after Peters' felony indictment related to alleged tampering with elections equipment.
State Senator Ron Hanks was also nominated as the party's candidate for senator. He will face 2 other Republicans in the Senate primary before potentially going up against Senator Michael Bennet. In his acceptance speech, he declared President Trump the winner of the 2020 election and compared election night to 9/11. He also highlighted his attendance at the January 6th rally in Washington.
And for governor, the GOP nominated University of Colorado Regent Heidi Ganahl, who will face Greg Lopez in the primary before going up against Governor Polis. Now, Ganahl has refused to say if she accepts the results of the 2020 election. The Democratic State Assembly was much quieter, though, since those positions are already filled by incumbents.
In Ukraine, Russian forces are focusing their attacks on the eastern parts of Ukraine. Missiles struck several major cities close to the border, killing many Ukrainian civilians. This comes after officials found nearly 70 civilian bodies in a mass grave near Kyiv. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said while these reports are horrifying and shocking, they're not surprising.
There was a plan from the highest levels of the Russian government to target civilians who oppose the invasion, to cause violence against them, to organize efforts to brutalize them in order to try to terrorize the population and subjugate it.
This weekend, the global advocacy group Global Citizen started its Stand Up for Ukraine fundraiser. It's already raised more than $11 billion.
And here at home, Coloradans are finding new ways to help Ukrainians. Denver 7's Christian Lopez tells us about a group in Douglas County with the goal, Moms Helping Moms all over the world.
Deborah Freeman knows firsthand some of the challenges parents face when buying clothes for their kids.
I'm a mom of 3 girls, and it's hard to continually provide for them, especially when they grow fast.
She owns the event Just Between Friends in Douglas County. They put on a consignment event twice a year where families can sell clothing their kids have outgrown to other families at a discounted price.
We understand that kids grow fast, which can get really expensive for families. Everybody has really been impacted by inflation and with costs of everything going up. We've been able to provide a place for families to get what they need for their kids at 50 to 90% off retail.
This year, though, they also made sure to help their friends in Ukraine.
We collected items to be sent to the Ukraine, and they're everything from clothing, shoes, backpacks, socks, hats, soft toys, even a few books.
Nearly 100 bags full of items will soon be in the hands of those who have been forced to flee with only a few items they can carry. Freeman says she's thankful to lend a hand to her fellow Coloradans who may be struggling.
Knowing that I can do something for these moms and help them save money so that they can do for their families and provide better for their families.
And also going far beyond that.
We wanted to use our collective power of Moms Helping Moms and not only help moms locally, but make a small effort to help moms that are being affected by all the trouble that's happening in the Ukraine.
I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
enthusiasm right there. This was the scene last night near DU. A couch set on fire after the men's hockey team won the national championship. I know, pretty crazy. They're jumping over it there. They beat Minnesota State 5-1 in an incredible comeback in the third period. And
Denver 7 sports anchor Lionel Bienvenu joins us now. Lionel, the best way to describe that game is what a comeback.
Historic comeback, if you will. Pioneers were down 1-0 to Minnesota State in the third, and then they exploded for 5 straight goals. And they returned to Denver today, national champions for the 9th time. Michael Benning broke a 1-1 tie in the third with a wicked one-timer. DU had the lead and then just overwhelmed the Mavericks from there. This was a thing of beauty. Massimo Rizzo with the goal. And the Pioneers won in blowout fashion, 5-1 the final, and they stormed the ice afterwards, celebrating with outstanding goalie Magnus Krona. And then the best scene in sports, raising the championship trophy once it's done. Captain Cole Gutman took the hardware, and then the entire team got involved. Emotional scene for the players and their families in the stands. And then today the team flew back to Denver, arriving to a hero's welcome. The championship fountains, courtesy of the airport fire department. Then Cole got off the plane with his new best friend, the championship trophy, and he told us today it's a dream come true, and it still doesn't seem real.
I don't even think it's hit us yet, honestly. I mean, we've been so busy with everything going on after, but obviously we're really excited, but I bet you once it calms down a bit, it'll really start to sink in.
It was unreal, especially from the year we had last year and how tough it was, and coming in or coming out of top here, and yeah, it was one of the best feelings.
They're legends, a part of Denver hockey for the rest of their lives. They'll walk together forever as champions, and for that we're so happy for them and so proud of them.
What a feeling and what a dynasty. Again, the 9th title for the Pioneers. That ties them with Michigan for most in NCAA history. We'll have much more at the Pios coming up later in sports.
Go Pios.
Yeah.
So happy for them.
Very
That's just
proud of
awesome.
them. Yes, absolutely. All right, a new COVID variant has cases climbing in more than 20 states. Up next, why health officials say they won't be recommending any restrictions.
And coming up later, we take a look at the latest bill to try to protect Colorado workers who use marijuana and why those rules are so difficult to change.